Scaling Up Nation, are you looking for precise liquid level monitoring? Pyxis Labs' new radar level sensor series has you covered. With accurate monitoring up to 50 feet and wireless Bluetooth configuration via the Pyxis app, our sensors offer unparalleled convenience. Plus, LoRa technology enables long-range data acquisition. Experience the future of level monitoring today. WaterProfessionals deserve better tools, and Pyxis Lab delivers. Go to scalinguph2o.com/Pyxis. Once again, that's scalinguph2o.com/PYXIS. Pyxis, because water professionals deserve better. Unlock the secrets of your water system. Discover corrosion issues before they become costly problems. Don't just send your corrosion coupons to any lab. Send your corrosion coupons to a lab that understands your water treatment needs. B Labs is run by water treaters for water treaters. At B Labs, every corrosion coupon report includes a picture of your corrosion coupon before and after cleaning, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. To find out more, go to scalinguph2o.com/B Labs and up your corrosion coupon game. Once again, that's scalinguph2o.com/BELABS. B Labs, corrosion coupon reports done right. Welcome to the Scaling Up H2O podcast, the podcast where we scale up on knowledge so we don't scale up our systems. I'm Trace Blackmore, the host of this amazing industrial water treatment podcast. And Nation, I want to thank you for making sure that I have a job in broadcasting, because so many people contacted us via email, via phone call, via our webpage, scalinguph2o.com, going over to show ideas, and letting me know how much they appreciate the episode that we dropped 2 weeks ago, which was episode 414, entitled Trace's Phosphate Redux. Now, what we did is we took episode 46, one of our most popular episodes, one of our most technical episodes, one of our older episodes, and we updated that at the request of many Scaling Up Nation listeners. And that's what we did 2 weeks ago. And I told you 2 weeks ago that eventually we might look at one of the devices that we mentioned in both of those episodes, both 414 and 46, which was the SteriPen. Well, here's where you come in, because we got an overwhelming response of Trace. We need this now. Don't wait to update us on what's going on with the SteriPen. We want to know it, and we want to know it now. Well, you had to wait an episode, and that's what I'm going to do today. And what a great episode last week was. We got to hear from one of my best friends, Charlie Cicchetti. He's the one that is responsible for giving me the idea of doing this podcast so many years ago today. We actually talk about that story. If you have not heard that, go back to last week's episode and you can hear all about how I got the first idea. It was given to me that I needed to do a podcast. So thanks to Charlie Cicchetti, we have Scaling Up H2O. And we have so much content out there for you to devour on your drive as you're going to see all your customers. So thank you, Charlie, for all of that. And Charlie, thank you for giving me a job that I didn't even know existed. And because I'm now a podcaster, I've got all this cool equipment. I get to do a job that I didn't know existed, that I absolutely love doing. And the number one reason that I love doing it is all of the great people that I've been able to meet over the years that I have been doing this podcast. So if that was you, I got to meet you because of this podcast, most likely, and I just love that. Now, a lot of people will come up to me at different events and ask me for, hey, Do you have a moment for an idea for the show? Folks, I am never going to turn you away for an idea that you have for me for the show. So, absolutely, I will make time for that. But then people will also ask for selfies. People ask for my autograph. And I just love doing that. And it took me a while to love doing that, but I love doing that because I love this show and I love what this show has created, and that's community. We are all members of the Scaling Up Nation, and we might be having our worst day ever in our job. But I have heard from so many people that it's just a little bit better than it was before because they know they're not alone. They know when they are listening to this podcast that there are tens of thousands of people that are also listening to this podcast. We are a community. We are the Scaling Up Nation. And that just helps every aspect of everything we do in industrial water treatment because we know we are a community doing it together. Now, one of my absolute favorite things is when people come up to me and give me show ideas, they give me feedback, some good, some bad. I actually enjoy the bad when somebody notices something maybe I didn't notice, or they ask me why I did something a particular way. And then they say, what about doing it this way? And I say, I never even thought of that. So I love it when you guys give me ideas about everything around this podcast. But I normally have those conversations when I go to events. And of course, we are always making sure that you know what events are coming up. So go ahead and get your calendars out. Now, if you're driving, don't worry. We've got a super easy way for you to find all of these events that I've mentioned or I'm getting ready to mention. The ones I didn't mention, you can go to scalinguph2o.com, go over to our events page, and we're going to have everything there. It's so easy. You can put an invite directly into your calendar. You can go directly to the event webpage, all by going to scalinguph2o.com/events. Or maybe you forgot about the /events. That's okay. You can go to scalinguph2o.com and just navigate over to our events section. All of that is there waiting for you. So the first event I'm going to mention is the Association for Professionals in Infectious Control and Epidemiology. Their annual conference and expo is taking place on June 16th through 18th, being held in the Convention Center in Phoenix, Arizona. So each year, thousands of healthcare professionals from around the globe gather for 3 days to advance their network, learn new information on the advances of infection prevention, and of course, there are lots of things they talk around waterborne pathogens. So this might be something that you want to check out. And we're going to have all of that information for you on our events page. While you're there, check out the ASHRAE annual conference taking place June 21st through 25th, also in Phoenix, Arizona. Of course, ASHRAE stands for American Society of Heating, Refrigeration, and Air Conditioning Engineers. This is always a great show. It is very well attended. And if you've never been to one and you are an industrial water treater, I think you deserve to go to one because there's all these different areas that touch water that you are responsible for, whether you realize it or not. And this is a great conference to get some more exposure to that. So once again, we're going to have all of that information on our events page. And the next one is the Global 6K for Water. That's taking place May 17th through 25th. Well, Nation, this is something that we promote each and every year. And the Scaling Up Nation has really embraced World Vision and the Global 6K. Now, I've talked about that for years on this podcast, and it is coming up very shortly. So I want to make sure that you know everything that you need to know about the Global 6K. So first off, why is it a 6K when most things are a 5K? Well, Nation, it's the average that people without access to clean drinking water have to walk in order to go get that drinking water. And I have been told that the water that they are going to get is water that you would probably walk past. It is not clean, nice, fresh drinking water. It's normally some hole where animals are also drinking out of it, but it's the only access that they have. Enter Team World Vision. For years, they have been bringing infrastructure to these communities so they don't have to walk 6 kilometers. Now, what happens when somebody walks 6 kilometers? Well, first off, it's normally the children that are doing the walking, and that means they are walking instead of going to school. Well, we all know education changes everything. So if we can put water right where they live, make it a better quality water, we have changed so many things about that community, both in present day and the future. Well, let's talk about some even worse stuff. Well, on the path to get this drinking water, there's a lot of human trafficking. That's just horrible. And I can't even think about that goes on. So we don't know the dangers that these kids are actually in going to get the water for their homes. And we totally eliminate that. Not to mention all of the hygiene issues, all of the waterborne pathogen issues from that nasty water that I mentioned that most likely they're going to get. All of that is taken care of. It's taken off the table, and that community totally changes around water. So it's World Vision's vision that in the next decade, the global water crisis is over, one person at a time. And one of the ways to get information out about everything that I just said is to sponsor a child during the Global 6K. Now, that's going to be May 17th, and you can do that from anywhere you want to. You can even do that on your treadmill if you want to. So it's $50 to enter, and that $50 is amazing what they can do. They can bring water to one person with that $50. They are one of the most efficient agencies I have ever seen, ever. And they are able to use that money to ultimately change that entire community. So here's what you can do. You can go to scalinguph2o.com/6K, and you can read about everything that I just said and so much more. And you can create your own team. You can do it on your own. And you can also join Team Scaling Up H2O. Now, let me tell you about each of those. Maybe you just want to do it on your own. That is fine. You can do that. Maybe you want to do a team building event with your team. Folks, this is such an awesome event to rally your entire team around because it's such a fantastic cause, and it's a cause that everybody can get involved in. Each and every year, we do this with our team here at our company. We actually join Team Scaling Up to do that. And we all go ahead and we register, and then we get a kit back. And in that kit, we get an orange, it's always orange, an orange shirt that says Global 6K and the year on it. And then we get a race bib with the child's name and picture that we are sponsoring. And we all meet at a park on May 17th. And rain or shine, we walk 6 kilometers. Now, some people might run it. We choose to walk it and also talk with all of the other people that say, hey, you guys are all wearing the same shirt. What's going on here? And then we tell them what and why we are doing this 6K. And more often than not, they are looking up on their phone how they can support the cause as well. Or they had no idea that it was the average of 6 kilometers that people without access to clean drinking water have to drink. So now we're getting the message out there, and that's how we're going to end the global water crisis when we all start doing something. This is starting to do something. And then we have the diehard people that actually carry a jerry can. I think that's 5-7 gallons on their shoulder to represent what the people that are walking are carrying. It's real easy when it's empty, but when it's full, 8.345 pounds per gallon, that gets really heavy really quickly. And you got to walk 6 kilometers with that. Now, we're just doing it once. Imagine having to do that on a daily basis. So that's team scaling up. And that is also team whatever your company name is. So if you want to join Team Scaling Up, that scalinguph2o.com/6K will take you to that page, and then you can do that together. We ask that you post all this on social media, however you decide to do it, because we love seeing those pictures. So you want to hashtag 6K for water, and of course, also hashtag scaling up H2O. And you will be amazed how many other water treaters are out there doing this on May 17th. Such a great thing to do, such a fun thing to do, such a great educational thing to do. And you can learn all about it by going to scalinguph2o.com/6K. Nation, somebody we all know is also involved in the 6K. He does it each and every year with Team Scaling Up. Of course, I'm talking about our friend James McDonald. And here's a brand new What Do You Know?
Hello and welcome to What Do You Know? The game show where we find out what do you know about industrial water treatment, drop by drop. So pump up your brain, take out that test kit of knowledge, and prepare to answer this week's question on What Do You Know? Today's question is, does silica solubility typically decrease or increase with rising temperature? It will typically increase. When cleaning an RO, for example, higher temperatures can increase the solubility of silica deposits, making them easier to dissolve and remove from the membrane surface. There are always exceptions, though. I'm James McDonald, and thanks for playing along with us. Stay tuned for next week's episode of What Do You Know?
Thank you, James. So many people are really enjoying the What Do You Know series. If you need to catch up, you can go back on our show notes page. We've got them on all of our show notes. And if you're connected with us on LinkedIn, you see we do some extra posts around What Do You Know? A lot of people are enjoying that. A lot of people are playing along. So by all means, make sure you catch up with What Do You Know? And if you're not connected with us on LinkedIn, go ahead and look for either me, Trace Blackmore, or you can look for Scaling Up H2O, and we'll make sure that you are in the know. So much more we share on social media. And we also have a newsletter that so many people enjoy. And you can get that newsletter by going to scalinguph2o.com, signing up for our newsletter. And so many people are enjoying our discussion guides. So maybe you're trying to have a conversation around a podcast episode with your team. We want to make that so easy for you. So we've got some questions that you can ask your team. Or you can elect team members to go ahead and ask those questions. It makes for a great team meeting. You go ahead and you assign the podcast a week before, then you meet on it, and you've got some questions to ask. And so many people are saying that they're getting so much out of their teams, and their teams are growing. Their teams are trying new things. Their teams are getting more excited about how to do things with best practices. So very cool feedback around that. Of course, we are trying to get as many discussion guides on newer episodes that we can. So to find out if the episode that you want to discuss with your team has a discussion guide, you can go to scalinguph2o.com and go ahead and download it from there. We'll send you an email with all that information, and you can share that with your team. Well, Nation, at the top of the show, I mentioned just 2 episodes ago on episode 414. I can't believe we're over episodes 400 in number. That I brought back episode 46, which was when we were talking about phosphate. And I did a whole overview about phosphate. We did testing methods. We talked about different experts. Actually, we had different experts come on episode 46. We talked about how we could save time in different testing. And then we talked about the SteriPen. Well, on episode 414, I reviewed everything and gave an update and brought back into current day most of the things that I talked about on episode 46, except for the SteriPen. And so many people have written in and let us know that they want to know more about the SteriPen. Okay, so first off, I'd recommend that you go to episode 46 and listen to all the information that we had back then on the SteriPen. And this was several years ago, 2018, I believe. And what was happening, we had a listserv. It's not in existence anymore, but people were talking about this SteriPen, which I'll talk about more in detail in a moment. And does it really work for different tests that we run? And of course, we're talking about the phosphate test, but it works for anything where you need UV light. So it also works for the azole test. So we did extensive research with the SteriPen. And if you want to hear about what I did, go back to episode 46. And I had 3 pens running side by side to see if the power source mattered and could we make it repeatable. And all of that was shared then. And then on episode 414, I told you that eventually I'll come back and I'll update the SteriPen. Well, you all told me you didn't want to wait that long. So that's what today's episode is all about. So first off, the SteriPen. What the heck is that? Well, it's a portable UV light really used for hiking and backpacking so you can sterilize water. And say you were hiking, you see this nice stream. Hey, I need a drink of water, but I know there could be pathogens in that water. I need to sterilize it. I know an iodine tablet tastes horrible. What are some other options? Oh, I can use a SteriPen, and you can sterilize up to 1 liter of water, and then you can drink that water. Pretty cool. Well, the folks over at Taylor Technologies, long time ago, discovered that this could be used for phosphate digestion. And our friend of the show, Chris Golden, shared that information with me. We actually had Chris Golden on episode 46, and we started using the SteriPen in lieu of the Hawk UV lamp. Because the UV lamp, it works great. You can even split it off, and it's the standard. It works great. The problem is the transformer. And the transformer weighs probably about 5 pounds. It's a little bulky. It's got wires on it. Wires mean your sample's going to tip over, all that stuff. So how about an alternative? Well, there wasn't an alternative. Well, now there is. It's the SteriPen, and that's been around for years. Like I said, we put that through the test to make sure it would do what everybody said it was going to do. And it actually worked very well. And our friends over at Taylor Technology said that it will cut your testing time in half. So how does it do that? Well, you have to use a specific vial. By the way, I'm going to have all of this information where you can get it as affiliate links on our show notes page. Now, let me tell you what an affiliate link is. Let's say you're going to buy a SteriPen on Amazon and it costs, let's say, $100. Well, if we create an affiliate link that takes you to Amazon, it's not going to cost you a penny more. But the fine folks over at Amazon give us a small commission that allows us to pay some bills, do some things with some new podcasts, things like that. So Anything that we mention on the Scaling Up H2O podcast, if you can use one of the links, and we try to create links for everything, won't cost you a penny, but it does help us out on a commission. All right, Scaling Up Nation, it's time for a word from one of our sponsors. One of the biggest water treatment challenges in cooling water systems is biofilm. You know, that stubborn, slimy stuff that can wreak havoc on your operations. Our friends at AMSA have developed a line of biofilm control products that are specifically designed to tackle this problem head on. AMSA products are so much more than biofilm penetrants. They're engineered to go straight to the surface, penetrate deep into biofilm deposits, and break them apart. AMSA products work in all types of cooling water systems, and they're incredibly efficient. They can operate at low concentration levels, making them a cost-effective solution. Plus, they're easy to use, so you can integrate them seamlessly into your existing water treatment program. The bottom line is, biocides alone just aren't enough to control biofilm. That's why AMSA's specifically designed chemistry is the missing piece in your biofilm control strategy. It elevates your treatment program to a whole new level of effectiveness. So if you want to clean it up and keep it clean, head over to scalinguph2o.com/AMSA to learn more about their innovative biofilm control solutions. Once again, that's scalinguph2o.com/AMSA. Trust me, your cooling water systems will thank you. A special thank you to all of our sponsors for their support. Now, let's get back to our interview. All right, so that being said, everything I'm going to talk about today, there is an affiliate link for, so you don't have to guess. Did he mention this one? Is that what he's talking about? I can't exactly find the right thing online. We've done all that work for you through affiliate links. So I'm going to have the SteriPen up there, but we're just not going to talk about one SteriPen today because there is a new one out on the market that we have tested as well. Actually, we're in the process of testing it, but you said you wanted this episode as quickly as I could get it out. So I'm going to tell you what we know with the caveat that we don't have years of testing like we do the Classic 3 version of the SteriPen. We are now testing the SteriPen Ultra, and we're getting good results with it. I'm going to share what we have with you. But please note that I don't have years of testing behind that. So I'm sure we'll find some new things as we're testing it, but this is all the information that I know right now, or things I feel comfortable that are repeatable, and we are still testing things that we're trying to figure out in the background. Nothing that I am holding back on that is not going to allow the test to work. It's just I've got years of SteriPen Classic 3 testing. I just have a few months of the Ultra SteriPen testing. All right, so all that being said, folks, there's a new SteriPen out there. So if you listen to episode 46, your option was the Classic 3, and it takes batteries. Okay, what kind of batteries? Specifically, for our use, you want to make sure you get lithium batteries. Now, you can buy the disposable lithium batteries, but folks, trust me, these things are expensive. They go to the landfill, and they're going to break the bank eventually. So I recommend, and we've got years of testing on this, that you move to rechargeable batteries with the SteriPen. Now, specifically, we're using the EBL brand 3,000 milliwatt rechargeable lithium batteries. These work very well, and I've got affiliate links for those. Now, we tested a ton of different rechargeable lithium batteries, and these work the best out of everything that we tested. So I've got some different links up there on our show notes page that have just the batteries themselves. It has the batteries and the charger. You're going to need a charger. And I also included some plastic battery cases so you always have a fresh, protected set in your test kit. So when your Classic 3 needs new batteries, you can pull them out and then you can recharge the other one. So that's the Classic 3. It uses batteries. It will say that it can use alkaline, nickel metal hydride, or lithium. Trust me, with our experience around this device, you want to make sure that you use lithium. And I recommend that you use the rechargeable lithiums. And the best ones that I could find are the ones that we have the affiliate link for. So 2 SteriPens, one uses batteries, the Classic 3. The other one is a USB rechargeable model. Folks, this one's pretty cool because you can use it as it's charging. That is pretty phenomenal. So with that, there's some pros and cons with each of them, and I'm going to go through the differences between the SteriPen Classic 3 and the SteriPen Ultra. Now, if you're wondering where you're going to use these, this is where you're testing for organic phosphate. And organic phosphate in a high presence of oxygen, you're going to digest it with UV light. And you're essentially degrading that organic phosphate into the ortho form. Now, I talk all about this in episode 414 and episode 46. So if you need more information about the test itself, that's all going to be there for you. This is more about the SteriPen. So with that, there are people that have developed different testing methods. And by the way, the first time I ever heard this was with our friend Chris Golden of Taylor Technologies, and he shared with us the procedure. I've got that on the show notes page, so you can see all of that and you can amend some of your testing procedures. But it does work with the organic phosphate test. It also works with the azole test very well. And as I mentioned before, it does cut your time down. Now, a lot of people might say, how does it cut the time down? Okay, it's a larger bulb than the one I mentioned before that comes with the organic phosphate test. So that's one. And if you use one of the sample vials that we have an affiliate link for, it now puts that sample all around the bulb. So you're getting full immersion and it's able to cut down the rate because there's so much contact between your sample to the UV bulb. So all that information is going to be on the show notes page. So that makes it pretty cool. It's portable. I will say it doesn't have wires, but if you're using the SteriPen Ultra, it does have a wire if you're charging it. But you can also use it for, and I'm going to tell you the differences for how many tests you can get out of them in a second. You can also use it wirelessly, which is why you're going to get the thing. But in a pinch, if you ran out of battery, you can charge it and use it. I haven't found anything in their literature that says that anything was affected by that. As we've tested it, we haven't seen anything that's been affected by that. And we're pretty good at charging them. We only have a few of those just for testing purposes. Most of the units that we have that we personally use are the Classic 3s, and that's the one that we have so much experience on. Okay, so let's compare and contrast the SteriPen Classic 3 and the SteriPen Ultra. Okay, so once again, Classic 3 has got the batteries. The SteriPen Ultra is the USB charging one. They both do 1 liter in 90 seconds if you're sterilizing those, if you're going for a hike. Now, how we use that with the organic phosphate test and the azole test, it worked exactly equal whether you were using the Classic 3 or the Ultra with how we use that in our test procedure. No change at all. Some other things that I will mention is the SteriPen Ultra has a really nice screen on it that will tell you what your battery life is. So it will tell you whether you're 4 bars, 3 bars, 2 bars, or 1 bar. So you'll never be taken by surprise again. It will also tell you if your bulb is getting close to life. Now, if you did not know, you got about 8,000 tests in that UV bulb. And once you get close to that, it's going to tell you, hey, you need to get a new unit because this bulb is almost at its life expectancy. So you've got a nice little readout for all of that. With the Classic 3, you just have a light. Now, some other differences with that, with the Classic 3, you've got to hit the button twice for it to stay on for 90 seconds. And they call that a liter because that's going to sterilize a liter of water. Well, the Ultra, you click it once and it goes to a liter. And there's a countdown timer that tells you how many seconds you have remaining, which I think is pretty darn cool. Now, both of the units, you do not have to take them out of the water like the original unit and then click it to reset it and then put it back in the water. You can leave it in the water, and after 90 seconds, you can put it through another 90-second cycle because for both the tests I mentioned, you want to go ahead and click that a couple of times. We've got our procedures that we've created. I want to make sure that you're using the correct procedures for you. But we go ahead and we do that through 2 liters, if you will, of how the SteriPen reads on the meter. But we're doing that for 3 minutes each. And we've done this for 3 minutes each. And we've also done it for 10 minutes. And we've done all of these experiments when we talked about episode 46. So listen to that if you want to know about the technical, how to test around that. But this episode is specifically for the SteriPen. All right, so let's talk about the battery life of the 2 units. So the Classic 3, and by the way, I didn't mention this earlier, I should have. The Classic 3 is the white and blue model. The Ultra is the green model. And the Classic 3 with the EBL 3000 milliwatt batteries that I mentioned earlier and that we have affiliate links for, I'm going to talk about the battery life and capacity as far as testing. So the 3000 milliwatt batteries, the lithium ion rechargeable ones, we get about 45 tests out of that. Now, that is cycling through twice because each test you have to do 2 90-second cycles. We get about 45 tests on that. Yes, it is different. If it's colder, there is less. If it's nice warm conditions, it's about 45 tests. Now with the Ultra, the USB rechargeable one, we can get about 16 tests out of this. Yes, that is a lot less. However, you can charge it while you're using it. And I'm willing to bet you probably aren't doing 16 tests in a day. If you are, just realize you might need another meter, or you might need to charge that as you are using it. So let's talk about the charge time. And I have to say, in preparation for this show, I did not do my homework. I should have timed how long it takes to recharge a EBL 3000 battery on the charger that I recommend. I can tell you that they recharge fine overnight. And why I don't know that is because we have plenty of batteries as a spare. So what we do is all of our test kits have several sets of SteriPens in them. And we're primarily using the Classic 3 on our team. And we have multiple extra batteries with us. So once it goes out, we just take the case. We have all of our batteries in a case that's on an affiliate link on our show notes page, and we replace them. And then when we come back into the office, they go onto the charger. When they're fully charged, we then put them back into where all the charged batteries are. And as people are filling out their test kit for the day, they're just grabbing the batteries that they need. And it's just been great. And we're putting so less trash into the landfill. I'm just ecstatic about that. Not to mention the lithium batteries were expensive to begin with, but then when you buy rechargeable ones, yes, they are more expensive than the non-rechargeable ones, but the ROI on that is like 2 or 3 charges. So as instantly you get an ROI on that. So it saves your bottom line. It does save waste. But I don't know how long it takes to charge. I will tell you overnight, we've never had an issue with that. And we've tested several batteries that are rechargeable lithiums. These are the ones that work the best. They work the longest. We didn't get any bad cells like we did on some other orders. So that's why I'm recommending those. Now, as far as the Ultra, this has a built-in battery pack that charges with USB. And when I first got it out of the box, it had 1 bar on the screen, and I was able to do a test with it. Now, I didn't see how many tests I could do with that, but I did go ahead and plug it in, and that's where I learned right out of the box that you can charge it and use that. Now, I haven't seen anything in the literature that says they discourage that, but we've done that quite a bit and we've been successful at it. I think that's a good insurance policy for having something that you have to charge and not just replace the batteries. But with that, we were able to get a full charge. That initial charge, by the way, I have some notes here, took me 3 hours and 15 minutes. Now, I was on a 5 volts DC USB charger that put out 4.2 amps. So for you engineers out there, there's all the information that I collected. And on that same charger, to go from totally dead to full charge, it's a little more than 5 hours. So definitely overnight, you can charge your SteriPen and you've got a full charge ready to go. I've also found that the readout with the battery level on that screen means that I never have surprises to when that meter is going to die on me, depending on how many tests that I am doing. So that's a really nice feature. I will say, however, that I prefer the Classic 3. Now, you might say, Trace, why wouldn't you just want everything all in one and that USB charger? Well, I think the Classic 3, even though it doesn't have the fancy screen, we're using rechargeable batteries. And because we have a process where we're rotating through batteries in the way that I mentioned, it's just there. It's ready to go. We've reduced our cost with the batteries, and everybody seems to like it. Now, I'm willing to bet that someday they're probably going to do away with the Classic 3. So when that happens, and they do have a UV life, so when that happens, we're going to have to go ahead and switch to the Ultra. But I will say that with all of our research, the Ultra seems to work fine. And if you're not doing that many tests and you just want a meter that has a lot of cool upgrades on it, that the Ultra is not a bad unit by any stretch. I guess I'm just an old dog and we've been using the Classic 3 for so long. I know it works and we own everything. We have all these batteries. If I told you how many batteries that we had through the entire team, you'd probably think that I was nuts, but everybody has 2 extra sets for every unit. And we carry at least 2 SteriPens, sometimes more, in every person's test kit. So we go through a lot of batteries and we own all of that. Now, I will say that the Ultra is a little bit smaller. It is a little bit lighter. So if that's a big deal for you, maybe that's something that you go with. And it is more expensive than the Classic 3. Now, at the time of this recording, the Ultra was $115.95 on Amazon. The Classic 3, $99.95. Now, that might fluctuate depending on how much they have, supply and demand. So that might be a little bit different. But like I said, we're going to have all of these affiliate links for you. You aren't going to have to worry about what did he say that I needed to get? What type of vial? We've got all of that on the show notes page. I will tell you hands down, either one of these that you get, you will figure out how to work them well. and make sure that you always know what your devices can do before you go out there and do them. And what I would recommend is that side by side, you run your test exactly how you've always run them. And that's how you're going to get a result that you're then going to try to repeat. So you're using the UV transformer and lamp that comes with the kit as is. Go ahead and run the test exactly how you've always run it. And let's say you get a phosphate of X. We'll write that down and then test using your new UV pen, either the Classic 3 SteriPen or the Ultra SteriPen, and you should get that same result. If you don't, you've got to figure out why. Now, I'm here to tell you that we've gotten that same result, and I feel very confident with our procedures. But it doesn't matter. I feel confident with our procedures. You need to feel confident with your procedures. So you need to get repeatability. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to your lab, or heck, go to your kitchen sink and play around with these things until you get repeatable procedures. It shouldn't be difficult. Listen to episode 46, listen to episode 414. I've shared all that information with you. And with that, you now have maybe a new device, maybe something that is portable, maybe something that fits in your test kit a little bit easier. And I think that you are going to love this unit. Now, so many people started using the SteriPen from episode 46, and people continue to use that. And Nation, I wasn't going to bring this episode to you, but so many people said that they wanted to hear it. There you go. Here is an update to the update. So 414 updated episode 46. And then episode 416, which is today's episode, updated both of those episodes. And the only reason I'm talking about this is because you told me you wanted to hear all about it. Well, Nation, here it is. Thank you for letting me know that. Thank you for always giving me topics to talk about. And I would love it if you responded to either going online or your favorite podcast player or however you consume this podcast and putting some comments on what are you doing for these testing. It's really cool to always see how people are using those. And it's not just my team and myself that answer these. Other Scaling Up Nation members will answer questions that people have. So always lots of great information. And it also helps us with our show ratings. And that's important whenever you go to a podcast player. If you enjoy this show, if you can go ahead and give us the highest rating that you feel comfortable giving us, that pushes us up in search. And as I mentioned, we've got tens of thousands of people that are Scaling Up Nation members. I know there's more out there. We just haven't found them yet. And by doing that, by rating our show, it pushes our rankings up higher when people search for content. And now it makes it easier for somebody to find us. And it makes it easier for a new person to join the community. And of course, that is the Scaling Up Nation. Nation, do you have a show idea for me? Do you have something that you want me to continue, maybe on an unfinished podcast like a couple of weeks ago? Well, don't keep that information to yourself. Go to scalinguph2o.com, go over to our ideas page. Let me know what that is. And perhaps we will do an update on another show. Perhaps we will bring that guest on that you want me to interview. Or maybe we'll talk about that topic that we have not talked about yet. Or maybe we need to bring it back to life. Whatever it is, don't keep those to yourself. Let us know what that is. Once again, that's scalinguph2o.com, going over to our ideas page. Nation, I absolutely love being the host of this podcast. Thank you for allowing me to have the best job in the world. And until next week, I hope you try some of these SteriPens. I hope that you make sure that they are repeatable to how you're going to augment your procedures. And I hope it makes your life a little bit easier, maybe a little bit more fun. Added technology is always a little bit more fun, if you ask me. And of course, what would be more fun than a brand new episode next Friday? Of course, we're going to have one for you, and I will talk to you then. Take care, everybody. Want to ensure you're fully prepared for the Certified Water Technologist examination? Our CWT prep course provides you with the tools and knowledge you need. From detailed study guides to a 100-question practice exam, we've got you covered. Visit scalinguph2o.com/CWT prep and start your journey to certification.